Wade back here with you, High Noon Leatherworks, for another leather adventure. And today I want to take you through how I do my lacing instead of using stitching and sinew, and I'll explain why I do this sometimes, and we're going to do a little decorating on it. So come on in and let's get started. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get started. I've got two scrap pieces of leather here that I'm going to demonstrate on and show you how I do this. And sometimes the reason I do it is for reasons of decoration, but other times I can use lacing with leather instead of stitching because it saves me a ton of time, and it's really strong, lasts for a really long time, so you're not losing anything there, but it does kind of give you the ability to add a little flash to it by decorating it. And then also once you get started doing this, you'll find all kinds of uses for it. So I've got one of my pieces here that's already got my holes punched in it, and what I did was I chose a punch and took my lace that I'm going to use, my leather lace, and I just chose a punch that was about the same size as my lace, so I could make sure I could get it through the holes and do my lacing. So I've got one punched. The time-saving part of it that I spoke about was each one of these holes, and you can make them however you want, but I spaced them a half an inch on center apart, and I put my first hole an eighth of an inch away from the edge. So that's how I spaced them apart, was a half an inch on center. Now I've got them about approximately an eighth of an inch in also this direction. So I do have the edges that I'm lacing together, I do have those beveled, just like I would if I was lacing some type of knife sheath or something like that together. So these are a half inch apart on center, and on a stitching awl or punch, these are right at an eighth of an inch apart. So you can see already, if you're taking a special saddle stitching, you're putting a needle in each direction, so you're kind of double stitching that. You're going to save a lot of time, because hand stitching is what takes a lot of time, especially when you're doing a large project like a holster or something like that. So I just wanted to show you the difference. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take this, since I've already done this one side, there's no reason for me to actually measure it again. I'll just match them up and take my pen, because this is going to punch out, and I'm going to match up where I'm going to punch the holes in the other piece. So they will match this piece across from one another. So once you kind of get through the first hole, you'll see how many times you need to hit it, or how hard you need to hit it for that piece of leather. And it does differ from piece to piece, thickness obviously, but the type of leather that it is makes it differ. And I could put a little beeswax on that punch and make it come out a little easier. Once you get the hang of it, once you've done a few of them, then you can actually feel it when it gets all the way through. And once you feel that, then like right there, I could feel that go all the way through. So once you have all your holes punched and you get your punch out, we can set aside all those little spoiled pieces that came out. Now we have two pieces that match. So the holes line up. If we folded this over, let's say both finished pieces were going to be on the outside, finished sides, and we fold that over and we match those holes up, this is the edge that we're going to, well, normally we would stitch it, but we're going to lace it. So I'll take a piece of lace, and don't skimp on the length of your lace. Make sure you have a nice long piece, because it's just like stitching. You're much better to have too much than not enough, because you want this to all, the key to making it really strong is to have it all one piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this lace in. Let's put it in from the back, the first one, and let's pull this through. And normally the lace will have a finished side and an unfinished side, just like the leather, and I want to try to keep that finished side out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that down about 6 to 8 inches below my finished piece. So I'm going to pull that around and down that center. So I'm going to put it right on the end. And that's one of the things that's going to make it really strong. So I'll take the other piece, the longer piece, and I'm going to put it through the second hole, and I'm going to pull that around and I'm turning it because I want to try to keep that finished side out. And see how I'm pulling it around the first piece that I pulled through? And I can keep pulling on that and keeping that taut as I go. But I'll pull that around, and then what that does is that's going to lock that in place. So that locks that. I don't have to tie a knot on this end. Then I can go ahead, go through the front, and again, when I get down to this, I want to turn my lace, spin it so that I have the finished side out, and I'm going to pull on that really tight. Then I can grab my first one that goes down the backbone, and I can keep it snug. So every time I pull one of these tight, I can pull on that one that I put down the actual seam. I'll go in the front again. Pull it back through. Get it down where I can turn it and have the finished side out and pull snug. Go through my next hole, front to back. Turn my lace so I have my finished side. Pull on that backbone a little bit. Get it snug. Next hole, front to back. Twist my lace so I have my finished side out. Pull on it good and snug. Go to the next hole. Might need to take a stylus or something and line those up because this is getting pretty snug. Take it front to back. Pull it snug. And you just keep repeating that until you get to the end. Now, when I get to the end here, you can see how much extra I have. That's okay. Twist that to make sure my finished side is out. Pull on this again. This is one that goes down the spine. And then snug that last one down. Now I can go ahead and take these and tie them. And when you tie those, you want to tie them really tight. And you can put your knot toward the back side, or you can pull it around to the edge. And you can see you don't really see much of that knot. And what that does is the lace that you put down the spine, it ties it into all of that lace on the other one that you wrapped around there and did your binding with. So there's no way that's going to come loose. It's always going to stay nice and tight. So it's definitely bound together good. And then the decorative part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this longer piece. I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch sticking out. Set that longer piece aside, and then I have that shorter piece that went down the backbone. I have it left. So if this was a knife sheath or a holster or whatever, I've still got a piece hanging off of the bound edge. So what I'm going to do with that is I've got some decorative beads, and I've got two different type. I've got a oblong silver, and then I've got one that's got some black on it. So I'm going to do a silver one, So I'm just going to slide that bead on there all the way up to the knot. Then do one of the antique with the black. Do a silver one. Antique with the black. And then another silver one. Then once I have my beads on there for my decoration, and you can make this as long as you want. You can just keep adding decorative beads. So if you want it hanging off of your knife sheath or your holster or whatever you're making, and you want it hanging down 4 or 5 inches, just keep adding beads as long as you've got enough lace left. So I'll take the lace, make a knot, and that's going to hold my beads in place. Now I can cut this off wherever I want. So I'm going to leave about an inch, cut it off at an angle. And there's my finished decorative end to my lacing. So there's how I do my lacing in lieu of stitching or saddle stitching by hand. So it depends on what you're looking for. It does on knife sheaths, especially old Western holsters. Gives it a nice look. Bags, leather bags, things like that. You could do the same thing all the way around. It makes it look real nice. But this is super strong. It's definitely gonna stand the test of time, and the decorative part just sets it off, makes it look real nice. So please, as I always say, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.